scare them away with the sound of the S2000 CR. VTEC just kicked in, yo, and that's 30 miles an hour. It sounds like I'm doing a million. Hi everyone, I'm Kennan from Cars and Bids, and today we're talking about a driving legend from the early 2000s. This is a Honda S2000, but it's not just any S2K. This is the Club Racer CR version, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing its facts and figures. First, we'll take a general look at the history of the S2000 and where it fits into Honda's past. Then we'll get nerdy and talk about the technical details, and then we'll do what I really want to do, which is take this thing for a drive. Before I get going, big news, this CR is currently for sale, being auctioned live on, you guessed it, Cars and Bids. This is a 2008 Honda CR, and it comes with the desirable factory AC and radio delete for the ultra lightweight experience. It's also finished in this beautiful shade of Rio Yellow, and it comes with just 15,200 miles on its odometer. And if you've been in the market for one of these, after you finish watching this video, click the link in the description below where you can head to the live auction of this one, where you can bid on it and buy it only on Cars and Bids. We begin the story of the S2000 by talking about why Honda wanted to build this car in the first place. They wanted to celebrate 50 years of Honda, and they wanted to do so by making a lightweight sports car that harkened back to their sports cars from the 1960s. And so they came up with this, the S2000. It was named S2000 in response to its engine displacement, just as those sports cars from the 1960s had, as it had a 2-liter engine, hence 2000. This car was also introduced for the 2000 model year, beginning production in 1999, and Honda went to extreme lengths to make sure that this was an engineering-focused sports car. All of the engineers who worked on this car did so in a little vacuum without a whole lot of influence from the marketing department. They wanted to build a car that they wanted to drive, and their focus was on balance. They wanted the car to be lightweight, and they didn't want the car to have too much power. And so they focused on making sure that the chassis dynamics were tight and the car was as lightweight as possible with a very high revving, naturally aspirated engine. The first generation S2000, known as the AP1, was released in 1999 for the 2000 model year. It was powered by a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that made 240 horsepower and 153 foot-pounds of torque. These aren't monster figures, but again, that really wasn't the focus with the S2000. The whole focus was on balance and the experience of driving, and despite not being super powerful, the engine delivered something very special. It could rev to 8,800 RPM. And according to Honda, in JDM trim, it was the highest specific output naturally aspirated engine in production at that time. So although it didn't make a lot of power, this engine still was an absolute blast to use. But the engine, of course, wasn't the only piece of the puzzle with this car. This car focused mostly on handling, and so Honda would give it double wishbone suspension all around and made sure that this car had a perfect 50-50 weight distribution to optimize its handling characteristics. Then in 2004, Honda would facelift this car with what was known as the AP2, and they would make a variety of changes to the S2000. The largest change would be its engine. This car would get a 2.2-liter engine, and although it would make about the same amount of horsepower, torque would jump up to 162 foot-pounds. Again, not monster numbers, but more torque than the car that came before it. The red line, however, would drop slightly to 8,000 RPM, and so some people prefer the AP1 to the AP2 because of its high red line. But the AP2 around town had more torque, so it was a little bit more fun to drive. Whichever one you choose, they were both excellent cars, and the focus still remained on handling. Honda would revise the suspension system in this car to reduce toe-in understeer, and they would make a variety of changes to make it slightly stiffer compared to the AP1 that came before it. Honda would also make revisions to the transmission in this car by changing the synchros and changing the gear ratio, shortening the first 5 gears and lengthening the 6th gear. The changes to this car that Honda made weren't just mechanical though. They would also make some cosmetic changes to differentiate this car from the earlier version. They would revise the front and rear bumpers in addition to things like the headlights and exhaust tips to just give it a more modern and sporty look. Then in 2008, Honda would introduce this, the CR version or Club Racer version of the S2000. It was a lighter, more focused, more hardcore driving version of the S2000. It was only produced from 2008 to 2009, and Honda only made 699 examples of this car, making it one of the most rare modern production Hondas. As a result, it is lauded today by enthusiasts because it's an incredible car to drive and, frankly, a very rare sight in the Honda community. And now it's time to focus on the design of the S2000 CR, and I'm starting at the back with its most obvious change. Honda added a body kit to this car to improve its aerodynamics, and they did so at the front with a different splitter along the front bumper to just kind of channel through the air more and cut through the air more efficiently. And at the rear, of course, they added this gigantic spoiler, and you'd have to be, well, an idiot to miss it. It's huge, and of course it generates a lot more downforce at the rear of this car. According to Honda's calculations during wind tunnel testing, these changes resulted in a 70 to 80% change in the coefficient of lift to this car, meaning that it generated a lot more downforce compared to the standard S2000. In addition to the body kit, one of the most obvious exterior changes that Honda made would be the deletion of its soft top. That's right, there's no soft top on this car, but you do have a hard top that comes with it, and all of them for the CR were painted Berlina black, just as you see here. Another benefit of losing the soft top was that this car weighed even less, and so although you didn't have the convenience of the soft top, Honda felt that the trade-offs were worth it and that people who are hardcore driving enthusiasts would appreciate them, as after all, this is the CR version of the S2000. Honda would also add a variety of cosmetic exterior touches to this car to differentiate it from the normal S2000. One of them would be these darker finished wheels, which are a slightly darker shade of gray compared to that found on the normal S2000. They would also add S2000 CR badges, one located here on the fender and another located on the trunk, both of which were finished in matte black. Honda would also add some special touches to the inside of this car, but we'll come to that a little bit later in this video. So those are the cosmetic and aerodynamic changes that Honda would make to this car, but they would also make a lot of mechanical changes to this car, most notably with the suspension. As I mentioned, this car was focused on handling and track performance, and so the suspension was the area that Honda decided to spend the most time and focus in on. Honda would give the S2000 CR special sway bars that were much stiffer compared to that found on the normal S2000. They would also increase the damper pressure in the front by 65% and the rear by 40% to give this car a much stiffer and much firmer ride. Honda would also change the spring rate of this car dramatically. At the front, they would increase the stiffness from 4.75 kilograms per millimeter to 7 kilograms per millimeter. Honda would increase the rear stiffness of this car from 4.88 kilograms per millimeter to 6.2 kilograms per millimeter. And the reason they did all of this is that this car was, again, focused on handling, so stiffer springs and dampers makes a lot of sense, but additionally, this car had to handle more aerodynamic load compared to the standard S2000, more forces pushing down upon it, and as a result, Honda had to compensate for that with the spring rate and damper setup. The next change that Honda would make would have to do with the steering ratio. This car has electronically assisted steering, and Honda decided that they wanted it to be even tighter than the normal car, and they revised the ratio from 14.9 to 1 to 13.8 to 1, a big difference, which means that this car has much more direct and accurate steering compared to the normal S2000. And now it's time to climb under the hood of the S2000 CR to talk about one of its most controversial attributes, and that would be its engine. This is a 2.2 liter naturally aspirated inline-4 that produces 240 horsepower and 162 foot-pounds of torque. That's right, it makes exactly the same horsepower as the standard AP2 S2000. When this car came out, that was a huge point of controversy because this was the ultra high performance focused version of the S2000. It was also going to be produced in limited production numbers, so surely this engine would make more power than the normal car, but nope, Honda gave us the exact same engine that you found in the normal S2000. Of course, today, this doesn't matter as much, but at the time, people wondered, why would I pay the extra money for a car that's no more powerful than the one I already have? And so, sales figures for this car were relatively low at 699 units produced. And now it's time to talk about something I have been waiting a while to discuss, and that, of course, is VTEC. Yep, VTEC just kicked in, yo, and it's time to talk about the variable valve timing system found in the S2000. So what is VTEC exactly? It stands for Variable Timing Electronically Controlled, and it's found in a lot of Honda engines, not just in the S2000. The way it works on this engine is that there are two sets of camshafts, one that controls the intake valves and one that controls the exhaust valves. On each camshaft, there are three lobes. There are two low-profile lobes and one high-profile lobe. At low RPMs, the low-profile lobes are the ones that are working, and they use the Bernoulli principle in that they only open a little bit, forcing air to rush in as fast as possible into the combustion chamber. When mixed with a little bit of fuel, you get the most efficient burn, thus giving you the most power and fuel efficiency at low RPMs. As you begin to increase the load on this engine, the cam profile then switches over to the larger lobe. The way this works is that oil pressure forces a rod to lock the lifters against the larger cam, meaning that as that cam is now operating, it moves the valve even more, allowing more airflow into the combustion chamber. The benefit of this is that you create more power at higher RPMs, and that's really the magic of this system. At low RPMs, you have good power and efficiency, but as you continue to rev, you have even more power and you maintain a nice linear power curve. It also means that Honda was able to extract a lot of performance out of what is a very small engine. And now it's time to discuss the interior of the CR and the special touches that Honda gave us to differentiate it from the normal S2000. And we begin by talking about the seats. They're covered in Alcantara and the special insert, which is supposed to look like Kevlar, a lightweight, strong material that was used in the construction of other lightweight cars like the Ferrari F40. And I've always thought that this is one of the coolest touches of the CR. I love this pattern, and frankly, it looks really cool. Honda chose this color profile though and extended it to the rest of the interior of this car. Not only are the seats covered in Alcantara with yellow stitching to tie that in even more, the door panels are as well, again to give this a special touch and tie them into the seats. But the yellow stitching doesn't end there. It's also found on the steering wheel, which gives it a nice little pop and a little bit of contrast against the black steering wheel, and you see yellow stitching found on the shift boot as well. The black and yellow color theme continues though with the gauge cluster, as the RPM line that's on the gauge cluster is done in gold. The final yellow and black touch that Honda would add to this car would be with the floor mats, as they stitched S2000 in gold into them to differentiate those from the normal floor mats found in the standard S2000. And while all these changes don't really add any performance, they make this car feel a little bit special than the run-of-the-mill S2K. The next thing to discuss with this car would be its lightweight, because this car is equipped as Honda intended, and that means it has no air conditioning and no radio. The easiest way to spot a no radio CR would be to look at the rear 3/4 panel of this car where an antenna would normally be, and if it's absent like this car's is, well, this car has no radio. The result of not having radio or AC or the soft top meant that Honda was able to reduce the CR down by 90 pounds compared to the normal S2000, bringing its curb weight to 2,765 pounds with the hard top off and 2,813 pounds with the hard top on. And a 90-pound weight reduction is a big deal, as the S2000 didn't weigh a whole lot to begin with. And that was the design brief of this car. It was supposed to be a lightweight, stripped out version of the S2000 with an improved suspension and aerodynamics package, and that's exactly what we find with the CR. The last change I want to talk about with this car has to do with the transmission. The transmission itself is the same, just like the engine with the normal AP2, but Honda revised the shifter a little bit to make it even more pleasurable to use. They lowered the height and the distance that it takes to shift gears, meaning that you have a much tighter, faster change. And Honda shifters are one of the best shifters found in any car. And well, now it's time to find out how all of these elements come together, and that means taking the S2K for a drive. Okay, it's time to drive the S2000 CR. Now, I've never driven an S2000, so I feel like I'm starting from the top. But right away, and even driving this car over to the film location, the shifter. My God, the shifter. I know that Honda makes great shifters. I've driven other Honda products before, including the NSX, but the shifter, like, it's so excellent in this car. I can't go super fast today. I'm on public roads, not my car, and these are very collectible now, so I'm not gonna whip it or anything like that. But even so, like at low speeds, I can tell this car just has such great turn-in, and it just wants to go, and it wants you to have fun. That said, it's also quite the experience. You know, it's kind of loud and buzzy, obviously, and with the hardtop on it squeaks. But I have to say, like, it's a fun car. It's a really fun, easy, approachable car to drive, but right away the standout to me is the shifter feels amazing. That and the engine really is it's very fun. It's like, it really likes to rev. I know it's not technically as high of a revving engine as that found in the AP1, but I don't know. I think that both of these engines rev so high, it really doesn't matter. They're both very capable engines that really like revs. And we'll roll on a little bit here in first gear so you can... I'm not going that fast. It might sound like it, but it's like I'm really not going all that fast. And that's the joy of this car, is you don't really have to. It's about the balance and the sensation of driving, and man, you can just whip it around these corners. It's all about the way this car handles. But yeah, this is so much fun. Woo! Wow, it handles so great. Oh, this is so nice. The way it corners is just, it's so easy. The ride is stiff though, there is no question about that. It is a very stiff riding car. That's hardly a surprise. That's the whole reason you buy one of these. Man. Wow, this is so fun. This is such a joy to drive. My goodness, it's so fun. It just wants to go. The car just wants to go. Man, you just feel like you're like a race car driver. Like it really puts you at the center of the experience. It's pretty amazing, I have to say. The steering is also very good in this car. It is numb, I will say that. You know, it's electric assist, and frankly, it's the early days of electric assist as well. But that said, it's really accurate. It allows you to like pinpoint, like put this car exactly where you want to, and you have great control. It's definitely not perfect. It's definitely good for what it offers and the area that it comes from. And the engine in this car, you know, it's not a lot of power, admittedly. You know, it's only 240 horsepower. But it's the way that it gets there that's so much fun. You know, it's just a very high revving engine. You don't really have to go that fast to enjoy it. I think that's always been the thrill of the S2000. You know, engineers, I think, they really understood you don't necessarily have to build an ultra powerful car to build something that's enjoyable, and that's what they achieved with this car. It's not the most powerful car in the world, but you know, frankly, if that's what you're looking for, there are other options that might suit you better. Oh wow, coyote! Wow, coyote walking around. That's not something you see every day. Scare them away with the sound of the S2000 CR. That's 30 miles an hour. It sounds like I'm doing a million. But man, the handling of this car is just so sublime. I'm blown away at how it drives. No, it's not refined. You know, this is a true sports car. It has squeaks and rattles from the soft top, or the hard top rather. That's not the point here. The point is it drives magnificently. I'm gonna miss this shifter action. That's some of the best I've ever experienced. I know it's also a personal thing, but I love the way this car looks. I've always liked the way the S2000 in general looks, and the CR just looks even better. These seats, all the cool touches of this car, and the rarity, it's just a special machine. But best of all, of course, is the way it drives, which is truly outstanding. Such a special car. This one is so low mileage, you know, I'm sure this car will be tucked in a collection or something like that somewhere. But I feel very fortunate to have been able to drive one that's so nice, so low mileage, so unmodified. Yeah, it's a very special car. I feel very lucky, and whoever gets to own this car next is also lucky. I can easily see why this is one of the most legendary driver's cars of its era. It rightfully deserves that title. And I've just had an absolute blast with it today. Man, what a lovely, lovely machine. Woo! And that is the Honda S2000 CR. It's no wonder this car is so desirable today, as it touts an amazing naturally aspirated engine, a manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, incredible chassis dynamics, and, well, it's very rare. And if you've been in the market for one of these, well, you can buy this one only on Cars and Bids. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Goodbye.